Evelyn stood in the doorway of the house she once thought would be her forever, her hands trembling over the swell of her belly as the rain poured behind her like the world itself was breaking apart. Liam didn't even look at her when he said the words that shattered everything. His back was turned, suitcase in hand, eyes fixed on the woman standing in his living room, Isabella, his first love, the one who had walked out on him years ago, without explanation, only to return now with perfectly timed tears and a story rehearsed enough to sound real. Evelyn couldn't breathe. She had spent years loving this man, building a life with him, carrying his child, sacrificing her dreams to stand by him during every failure, every heartbreak, every sleepless night. And now he wouldn't even look her in the eye. "Liam, please," she whispered, voice breaking. "Don't do this. I'm your wife. I'm carrying your baby." Liam finally turned, but not with regret, not even with guilt. His expression was cold, almost relieved. "I told you from the beginning," he said flatly. "My heart always belonged to Isabella. She only left because she was forced to. She needs me now, and I'm choosing her." Evelyn's voice cracked. "Choosing her? After everything?" Isabella stepped forward, slipping her arm possessively through Liam's. Her lips curled in a soft, victorious smile that made Evelyn's stomach twist. "It's better for everyone this way," Isabella murmured sweetly. "You're strong, Evelyn. You'll be fine on your own." Evelyn wanted to scream, but all that came out was a shaky breath as Liam grabbed Evelyn's suitcase, packed without her knowing, and shoved it onto the porch. "I've already filed the annulment," he said emotionlessly. "You'll get the papers soon. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be." Harder? He was tossing her into the cold rain like she was a stranger, a burden, a mistake. She stepped forward, gripping the doorframe, her heart pounding in desperation. "Liam, this is your child or child? How can you just walk away?" For a heartbeat, Liam hesitated. But Isabella's hand tightened around his arm, and whatever flicker of doubt, he had vanished like smoke. "I'll send money," he muttered, "but I don't want any more contact. I'm starting a new life." And with that, he closed the door. The sound echoed like the final nail in a coffin. Evelyn stood frozen, rain drenching her hair, her clothes, her skin, everything cold, heavy, unrecognizable. Just hours ago, she had been planning dinner. Now she was homeless, heartbroken, carrying the child of a man who had erased her in front of her eyes. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, but when she pulled it out, the screen was cracked from when Liam threw it earlier in the argument. It flickered with ghostly light before dying completely. No phone. No home. No family. Her parents died years ago, her relatives scattered, barely in contact. And not one of them knew the truth she herself had been kept from since birth. The truth that she was no ordinary woman. The truth she had been raised to forget. The truth that was about to change everything. But right now, all she felt was pain. Evelyn picked up her suitcase with trembling fingers and stepped into the storm. Every step felt like walking through memories, her wedding, their vows, the tiny nursery room she painted herself. All gone. She managed to get into a taxi with the last bit of cash she had, her mind numb, her breath unsteady. "Where to?" the driver asked gently. Evelyn stared out into the darkness, having no idea where she belonged. "Just drive," she whispered. The taxi glided through the wet streets until exhaustion washed over her like another wave of rain. She pressed her hand to her belly. "I'm sorry," she whispered to her unborn baby. "I don't know what to do." But far across the city, in the tallest tower overlooking the skyline, a team of men in suits were staring at a screen, her photo flashing beneath a red alert banner. A beeping alarm filled the room as a man with silver hair and storm-gray eyes rose from his leather chair, gripping the edge of the table so tightly his knuckles turned white. "We've found her," he said in a low, shaking whisper. "My daughter is alive." His voice trembled as he stared at the image Evelyn, drenched in rain, walking alone, her hand protectively over her stomach. "And she's pregnant." The room went silent as the weight of his words settled. "Send a car," he ordered sharply. "Now, notify the private security team. No one gets to her before we do." "Sir?" One guard hesitated. "Does she even know who she is?" "No," the man whispered, regret heavy in his voice. Because I failed her mother and left Evelyn in hiding all these years. His jaw tightened with the kind of rage that came from loss, grief, and secrets that destroyed lives. But now she's carrying the heir to $1 trillion empire, he continued, and that puts her in unimaginable danger. Meanwhile, Evelyn had no idea that she was being watched, protected, and hunted at the same time. She asked the taxi to stop near an old motel, the kind of place where no questions were asked. She checked in under a false name out of pure instinct. Her mother had taught her that much before she died. Never trust easy, always stay unseen. At the motel sink, Evelyn splashed water on her face, watching her reflection blur through tears. She wasn't just heartbroken, she felt a strange, haunting tug inside her chest. A memory trying to surface. A name she hadn't heard in years. A symbol her mother used to draw for her, but never explained. And then, a knock on the motel door. Soft, slow, deliberate. Her entire body tensed. No one knew she was here. No one except Evelyn backed away slowly, her heart pounding so violently she thought she would faint. Suddenly, another knock came, louder, urgent. A voice echoed through the door, firm but trembling with emotion. Evelyn, please open the door. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to bring you home. Evelyn froze. The voice was older, unfamiliar, yet something in it sent a shock through her bones, like her soul recognized what her mind could not. Who are you? She whispered through the door. A long, heavy breath answered, Your father. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. My father is dead, no, the man said, voice thick with sorrow. I've spent years protecting you from the shadows. And now I'm losing time. Evelyn's knees weakened. Why now? Why find me now? Silence. Then, because the child you carry, his voice broke, is the future heir to the world's most dangerous fortune. And the same people who destroyed your mother are already after you. Evelyn felt the floor tilt beneath her. She looked at her belly, at her trembling hands, at the door separating her old life from the truth, and slowly, terrified, broken, desperate, she reached for the handle. The moment she turned it, everything she ever believed was about to explode. Her past, her identity, Liam's betrayal, her mother's secrets, and the empire she never knew she belonged to. Behind that door waited the truth, and the danger that came with being a secret trillionaire's only daughter. Evelyn opened the door only a few inches, but that was enough to change the course of her life forever. A tall man stood in the hallway, the dim motel lights barely illuminating the hard lines of his face, the grief etched into the corners of his eyes, the exhaustion of years spent searching. His hair was silver now, but his presence radiated a command that no ordinary man possessed. He wasn't just wealthy, his aura carried the kind of power men feared, nations respected, and enemies hated. He swallowed hard when he saw her. Evelyn. Her name left his lips like a prayer. He stepped closer, but she flinched. He halted immediately, pain flickering in his eyes. I won't touch you unless you allow me to, he said softly. I lost you once. I will not force anything now. Evelyn's breath trembled. Who are you really? The man exhaled slowly, as if the truth itself weighed tons. My name is Alexander Marlowe. Evelyn blinked. That name, she had heard it before on the news. A ghost billionaire. A power that controlled invisible industries. A man with unimaginable influence and an empire worth trillions, yet the world barely saw him. You own the Marlowe conglomerate, Evelyn whispered. No, he corrected gently. I built it for you. Those words hit her like thunder. For me. Alexander nodded. For when you returned, for when it was safe enough for you to claim what is rightfully yours. Evelyn shook her head in disbelief. My mother worked at a cafe. She wasn't. She wasn't someone you would marry. Alexander closed his eyes painfully. Your mother saved my life, he said quietly. She was the only woman who ever loved me without caring about my power, my money, or my enemies. And because of my world, I failed her. I failed both of you. Evelyn felt her throat tighten. She never told me any of this.
Alexander's eyes glistened.
She was hiding you from those who wanted to destroy me. When she died, I thought I lost you too." Evelyn's hand instinctively rested on her stomach. "And now?" Alexander's gaze dropped to her belly, and his voice trembled. "Now you carry my grandchild, and my enemies will come for you first." Before Evelyn could speak, the lights in the hallway flickered once, twice before plunging into darkness. Alexander stiffened. "We have to leave. Now." A loud crack echoed through the building. A gunshot. Evelyn gasped. Alexander pulled a slim device from his coat, pressing a button. Emergency lights snapped on in blood-red hues. "They found us," he whispered. Two men in black tactical gear appeared at the end of the hallway. Alexander grabbed Evelyn by the wrist knot harshly, but firmly, and pulled her behind him. "Stay close." He drew a concealed weapon with a practiced motion that told Evelyn he had lived in danger far too long. The men rushed forward. Alexander fired once. The bullet shattered a light, plunging the attackers into shadow. "Run," Alexander commanded. Evelyn ran. Her legs were shaking, her body heavy, but adrenaline forced her to move. As they reached the back stairwell, Alexander slammed the door behind them, locking it with a metal bar. Evelyn struggled to breathe. "Why is this happening?" Alexander looked at her, his expression fierce and protective. "Because Liam did not leave you by accident." Evelyn froze. "What?" Isabella approached him, under someone else's orders. "The timing was too perfect. Someone made sure he pushed you out titillated and vulnerable." Evelyn's stomach twisted. "You're saying he was manipulated?" Alexander shook his head. "He was bought." Evelyn's breath caught painfully. She wanted to deny it, but deep down, she knew Liam wasn't strong enough to resist temptation. Not the kind Isabella represented with her sudden wealth. Beauty and perfectly timed desperation. "They wanted you alone," Alexander continued. "Easier to take. Easier to kill?" Evelyn pressed a shaking hand against the cold wall. "And Liam just let them." Alexander hesitated. "I'm sorry, but yes." A sob tore from her chest. Not just heartbreak, now betrayal, woven into a deadly conspiracy. They rushed down the stairs and out into the back alley, where two armored SUVs waited. Guards surrounded them instantly, forming a protective shield. "Sir," one called out, "the perimeter is compromised. We need to leave immediately." Alexander guided Evelyn into the lead SUV. Her heart was racing, her world spinning, her unborn child kicking, as if sensing the danger. As the car sped away, Evelyn stared at Alexander. "What happens now?" His expression hardened. "Now you come home," she repeated. Alexander nodded. "To the Marlowe estate. The safest place in the world for someone like you." She frowned. "Someone like me?" Alexander leaned closer, his voice quiet but powerful. "You are the sole heir to a $1 trillion empire, Evelyn. The most valuable woman on the planet. And there are people who would pay any price to own you or eliminate you." Evelyn felt her pulse quicken. "I don't want any of this. Neither did your mother," he whispered sadly. "But we don't choose the blood we're born with." The SUV turned through massive wrought iron gates guarded by armed men. The estate was enormous, a fortress, disguised as a mansion, glowing under the night sky like a kingdom carved from light. Evelyn had never seen anything like it. But as soon as they entered, Alexander's expression changed, relief mixed with dread. "There is one more thing you must know," he said. "What?" Evelyn whispered. "Your child is not just any heir." He paused. "The Marlowe fortune is protected by laws older than you can imagine. Your child will inherit everything if you stay alive long enough to give birth." Evelyn's breath hitched. "They want my baby," yes, Alexander said grimly. "Alive or dead, your child is worth more than nations." Tears blurred Evelyn's vision. "And Liam?" Alexander hesitated. "He thinks Isabella loves him. But she was paid to set the trap. She is disposable to them, and so is he. Once they realize he no longer has value, they will kill him too." Evelyn's heart lurched not out of love, but fear for the father of her unborn child. "We have to warn him." Alexander's expression hardened. "We can." But that means returning to the one place they expect us least. Evelyn looked at him, her voice trembling but steady. Then take me. Alexander stared at her with something like pride. You are more like your mother than you know. The SUV halted in front of the mansion. Guards moved toward the doors. But Evelyn didn't wait. She turned to Alexander, determination burning through her fear. Let's bring them down, she whispered. All of them. Alexander nodded slowly, the glint of a father's pride in his eyes. Together. Inside the mansion, screens lit up with surveillance footage. Plans were drawn. Names revealed. Shadows exposed. For the first time, Evelyn wasn't the abandoned, heartbroken wife Liam tossed aside. She was heir to an empire. A target. A survivor. And soon she would become something far more powerful. Liam had chosen the wrong side. And now, Evelyn Marlowe, a known trillionaire heiress, betrayed wife, and mother-to-be was ready to write an ending no one saw coming.